Got a young woman here who's going to sing to her newest track. Let's give it up for Madonna. And Madonna pops out as close as you are to me with two dancers on either side and starts singing Burning Up, lip syncing Burning Up. And I was like, I want to be her. She's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Somewhere maybe closer than you know, I'm dreaming of a night sky.
Hi, I'm Jenny Bruce, Ghost. I grew up in a very musical family. Everyone was musical, and I was a very shy, introverted kid. So music was my aperture to the world. It was my way of expressing myself and getting the big feelings out. I did grow up in New York City, so music has been a part of my journey in so many ways. As a kid, when I wasn't playing music or listening to music, I was out in the clubs dancing, and yeah, it's pretty much never stopped. I always, my favorite saying is per aspera et astra, through struggle to the stars. And it's been my journey. A lot of inspiration comes to me when I'm wandering around the city, not when I'm waiting for a train. It's stressed out, but when I'm taking my time, walking down the streets, just looking at people, observing, feeling things. And probably one of the most pivotal moments of my life was, God, I was probably like 14 or 15 at a club called Le Jardin, somewhere in this neighborhood. And on the dance floor, the DJ suddenly says, we've got got a young woman here who's going to sing to her newest track. Let's give it up for Madonna. And Madonna pops out as close as you are to me with two dancers on either side and starts singing Burning Up, lip syncing Burning Up. And I was like, I want to be her. She's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. She was so gorgeous and so cool. And I didn't even know you could do that. And she was out there literally pounding the dance floors, getting her music out. And I was like, this is what you do. I don't remember how early. I know I wrote my first full song at 5 because I actually made like an illuminated manuscript of it. It was called Horses on a Snowy Day, and it had illustrations and lyrics written out. But I started writing, I don't know, I started as soon as I could reach the keys of the piano. I suck at music theory, so I taught myself. I play by ear, and that was kind of also why my influences are weird. I grew up listening to everything from classical to jazz to R&B and pop and everything. My dad was Scottish, so lots of crazy Celtic music and bagpipes and whatever. And I would just sit down at the piano and try to figure stuff out, whether it was blues or whatever it was. And that all just kind of wove into me adding my own words and feelings, and songs just started coming out. What was the movie? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once? That's kind of how music works for me. I did write poetry also. When I was really little, I used to get up and as early before the sun came up and just sit and write down poetry. But that's a very different thing from songwriting because the lyric is definitely enmeshed with the melody somehow. And I don't actually know. I don't know. I don't know how it happens. It just, suddenly I'm writing a song. The monikers, I mean, I am Jenny Bruce, always will be, most likely till I die. So that's always going to be me. And I feel like that the music that I make as Jenny Bruce is just that. It's just me. Ghost came about for a very specific reason. My mother told me, when you turn 50, you become invisible, you become a ghost. And as I turned 50, I wasn't feeling that way. But I was feeling like Jenny Bruce wore a lot of hats. And I needed something else. I needed like a different space to create in. And I wanted to not be constricted to that singer-songwriter vibe. And really, when I think about the two different monikers, I see it in colors. So Ghost to me is blues and deep gem tones like sapphires and ruby and emeralds and all these deep jewel tones, watery tones. And then Jenny Bruce is much more organic and earth tones. So as I'm writing, if it feels like that, then it's Jenny Bruce. I never did set out to do one or the other. I did create Ghost as an artistic space for myself, just because I felt like I needed it at the time. I mean, I raised two boys who are now off to college, and I was taking care of my dad. who was sick with Parkinson's, and I was working full time and in graduate school, and I just felt like I needed to take a step back and have another space. The place that music held in my heart and in my soul and in my life, it was always kind of a thing I did, and then it has become a practice with time. So, my mother died, and the last thing I did to her was sing to her as she died, a song that I wrote. And it's like all of a sudden, music it's so much more than just a thing that you have streams of or that you put out there. It's a spiritual experience, and that's what it's become for me with time. I'm not religious, I don't have that, but I do have music, and it's always there for me. So I wouldn't say there was an aha moment specifically, but as you get older and, things start happening, like you start losing people, hopefully when you're older, hopefully not when you're young, that's tragic. And it just, everything kind of, your perspective on life changes. And so that was, I guess, like a very gradual aha that, oh, this is my spirituality. Music is a part of me, and it's how I connect with other people. And yeah, it's meaningful, and I got to keep doing it. It is a gut feeling. My husband's a painter and an illustrator, and it's like, how do you know when a painting's done? I don't know. Some people don't. Maybe sometimes I don't, and I should have stopped. Sometimes I probably should have worked a little harder on a song, and maybe it could have used a little more TLC, but it's just kind of, like you feel like it's done, and there's a satisfaction when you've tweaked it that last bit. And I guess for me, it's when I'm ready to record it. I'm like, that's good. This is how I want it to be when I get in the studio. So that's done. Caveat to that is sometimes in the studio I'll go, hold on, I don't love this line. Let me think about this, and then I have rewritten things in the booth. Lately, I've worked with an awesome producer named Matt Anthony, who is just such a good friend. So there's a lot of laughing and, joking and some drinking and some, talking, and it's a very comfortable process. I love going into the studio. It's my favorite place. It's next to being on stage, but there's something about that recording piece and being able to layer vocals and come up with harmonies. I feel like being in the vocal booth is my favorite place. It's a pretty simple process. It's, I come in, either I've written a song on guitar or maybe keys, and then I loop in Matt, who plays everything else. Maybe we bring in a musician for this or that. Depends on if we're doing a big studio thing, if we're doing the smaller studio thing. It looks different, but it's like going to church. It's fun. It's not the boring church, like I had to go, no Hail Marys. But, it's a really fun, connected experience. I've had a lot of interesting feedback over the years. I had a monk who wrote me and said he listened to my music to cry himself to sleep every night. I've had a lot of people play my songs at funerals and at births, like celebratory, the same song. Actually, my song Home was on a Martha Stewart Sleepy Time CD, which is all about new babies. It is about death, and it's been sung at many funerals. I think I've been told that my voice is, that I'm soothing. There's something soothing about my music, which to me is hilarious because I'm so ADHD and my brain is the most chaotic place. There's nothing linear about anything in my life. So if I can bring solace and calm to anybody, that's awesome. But I've had a lot of feedback. People cry to my music, which I think it's a good thing. There was a time when I was at a funeral and everyone was, holding it together, and it was my turn. And I don't like singing at funerals because it's a lot of pressure, but I got up and I sang, and everybody was sobbing hysterically. And I wasn't singing a sad song. And everyone came up to me afterwards and said, "Thank you. We needed to cry. We were all holding on. You gave us permission to cry." So that's, is that good? Sounds terrible. I make people cry.
You blew in on a summer wind, autumn fell.
when did I start with CD Baby? And I thought it was 1997, but then I Googled CD Baby and it didn't start till in 98. So either I'm the founder, I'm pretty sure it was Derek Sivers, who started it. I remember when it was Derek Sivers and he would answer all the emails himself. I don't know how he did it. And I've been with CD Baby. I'm not going to lie, I've explored other outlets. I've never changed. I've always stayed with CD Baby because I trust CD Baby. I feel like they've always had my back when something's gone wrong and little things, you know, Deezer didn't get my song or whatever. They really jump on it and they keep trying to offer new ways to connect and improve the experience for independent artists, which is so important. And that's who they've always been to me. So I always recommend CD Baby, honestly. You know, I really, it's trust. You have to trust as an independent artist who you're putting your music out with. And I do trust them. Being independent is very important to me. I am a very independent person. I want to have control over the music that I make and how I make it and when I put it out there and what it sounds like. And I actually really like the part of releasing it and making the videos and all of the, you know, the emails and engagement. I find that part really fun. I know a lot of artists probably don't, but I do. And it's important to remember that I really couldn't do that without CD Baby. Like they make it possible. I did sign with a company in the groove music out of Minneapolis to do sync and licensing, and I know CD Baby does a little bit of that, but I feel like that's so relational. It's kind of harder for a big company to do that if they don't really know you. I wish CD Baby did something with, like, I think CD Baby should have their own independent radio or like a satellite radio or maybe a service where they put out the music to independent radio, something like that. I want more, just more of this, more chances to make music and have the opportunity to perform it and hear more music. I just want to keep going. I'm not ready to stop. I don't know when I will be ready to stop. I feel like I've lived an incredible life, and I just want to keep living it.
Wishing I could keep you here.